Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. What we got there? Let's get that up on the screen. Let's get the. Where's it at? Oh, I know where it is. It's over here. Let's put it up on the screen. Oh, look at the nice little bear. Anyway, there it is. I was looking at the feeders in March. Interesting action compared to the feeders in January. Anyhow, this is Doc from North America, and welcome to the new golden age. That's what it comes down to. We're in the new golden age now. Mr. Trump is already organizing his cabinets. He understands, this is a man that builds skyscrapers and they don't fall over. So obviously, he's got it all figured out. Let's put it that way. And he's getting ready to get this country back into what built us. And I know we usually, steer clear of the deep conversation of it all, and I don't have any much interest in trying to get into it today. But if anybody has a question about what I'm talking about, you're welcome to ask, and I'll gladly explain it. So let's look at the markets, and let's go to the dollar index. The dollar obviously is king dollar. Remember yesterday I was very happy with the articles that I've been seeing on the BRICS. I mean, for those that follow sports, you know that not every team is in the top tier. It's not the majors. English football is probably the best example. You have the Premier League, and then you have the Championship League, a step underneath. Then you have Division 3, then Division 4, and Division 2 and Division 3 and Division 4. In other words, they're, weaker divisions, and as a team gets better, it climbs up the ladder into a different league. And so what am I talking about here in the sense of the BRICS and the World Financial Clearing Operation, or the King Dollar, I guess you could call it, or however you want to look at it, is that the BRICS will be a minor league organization and a minor league, and that's fine. And from that, just as I described the English Soccer League, not every premier team stays in the Premier League, and not every third division team stays in the third division league. It will grow. There will be one team or two teams or whatever that will get better, and there'll be Premier League teams that'll get worse, and they'll go down to the Championship League, or the what used to be the first division, and then maybe below that they'll end up in the second division. In other words, and if they're really bad, they'll go down to the third division. If they get really worse, and the organization is bad coached and bad players, or not bad, but just not as skilled, they'll go to the fourth. And that's the way I'm looking at the BRICS. You take, let's get the dollar index up there. So, when I see all this talking about, the conference that they had, the BRICS, I'm like, good. Let's hope they succeed. And let's hope, some of the countries in the BRICS actually pay attention to the better functioning countries economically, and and why they function economically. In other words, what's the best number one way to grow as a country in the world? Be able to get your foot in the door to sell to the United States. I mean, look at China. China is the number one producer of products, and right now they're battling with Mexico. Mexico has that classic real estate thing going on, location, location, location. And so they're the number one importer into the United States is Mexico. And so countries build factories in Mexico because it's right next door. And it's like, this way of, getting your product sold into the U.S. market. And that's the way it rolls. All right, so you can see there on the dollar index, you see it's dipping down a little bit today. It was the explosion from the news yesterday. Let's just put it up on the screen even in a bigger fashion like so. There we are. You see that, from the Trump, it's a historic thing that's happened in the election. They won the House, they've won the Senate, and they won the popular vote. And Mr. Trump also won the Electoral College. All of it. It's a sweep. And in the House and the Senate, it looks like they picked up anywhere from 4 seats to 7 seats. And we'll know as days go on. The couple of states are dragging their feet on. California is dragging their feet on counting all the ballots still, and so is Nevada or Arizona. But Trump won 2 out of the 3 states, and he did really well in California. And so, as far as we can tell, when it comes to the House seat, it looks like they'll picked up 1 or 2 seats, or they might have lost a seat, but they still kept control. And so that's where we stand at the moment. So it's a sweep. Tea time. Let's have a sip of my tea. There we go. All right. So from there, let's get off the screen here. There it is. You can see the dollar index moving back down. You can see over here on the algorithm itself in a buy for a second day. And you can see on the weekly's been in a buy for the last month and a half, if not longer. It only reflects the last 5 weeks. No, 6 weeks, I'm sorry. So that's the beginning of the new golden age in America. Is Elon Musk. Most people probably know who Elon Musk is. He's the chairman of SpaceX and Twitter/X, and there's a picture floating around with him carrying a kitchen sink in the White House, just like he did when he bought Twitter. He's going to be the Secretary of How to Save Money, and he figures he can cut $2 trillion for just 1 year. So that's nice to be able to knock our budget down a couple $1 trillion. That's for sure. And matter of fact, I saw something interesting. I know this is a little diverse, but I saw that the Democrat Party spent $1 billion for the campaign, and they're shy $20 million. In other words, they owe $20 million still. So it's going to be interesting to see. Not that. I mean, we've seen that happen before. Hillary was like that. She let it go on for, 5-6 years before she kicked in the 20 or 40 or 50 million that she owed the party. But in the end result is that they've been horrible financially for a long time. Now they're not running the country, and it's going to turn into a new golden age of economics and responsible government and reorganizing, because our Constitution is so solid. It's a derivative off of the Old Testament and the New Testament, and obviously those things have had great impacts on the world today. There's negatives and positives about it all. Of course, we're human, we're crazy. That's the only way to look at it. We're human and we're crazy, but the law is the law, and now law and order is going to come back to America. We've had our problems. Law and order has been a disaster. So anyhow, there's the dollar, and let's get rid of that right there. And so there's the King dollar. Let's go over and take a look at the euro this morning. I'm sure it's rebounding a little bit from yesterday's action. And where's Mr. and Mrs. Mouse? Right there. You see a little rebound going on. It's been in the sell for a couple of days. And it's been in that long weekly sell from up in here. So money has obviously realized that something was going on, and it held its own for a while, and not surrendering, giving up the ghost, I guess you could say. All right. And what else? I want to let's check the chat line. Let's check the chat line and see if anybody is saying anything about anyone. Let's see. There it is right there. And I don't see anything yet on the chat line. So all cool and quiet, I guess. No questions. No answers. No nothing. All right. And as you can see there, we're just marching along. So let's go over to 22222. Let's check out the British pound. I think they lowered rates this morning. And there's the British pound. Did that sell off the same way yesterday? It was in the weekly sell there, but it tried to get into the buy. I'm not sure what that's all about, but what always sticks in my mind is how the British, or let's say Great Britain in general, has a lot of money invested in here in the United States. Remember, they were our parent country. We broke away from them, but we've always been financially connected to them on some level or another. Whenever there's a war, especially globally, we jump in on their side and protect them, or join in with them, or they try to help to protect us, so forth and so on. So, when I see the strength coming into the British pound, there must have been some euphoria on some level about the election right there. And then that was the confirmation of it, and they sold it down, and here we are. Wouldn't be surprised by tomorrow or the next day where we find ourselves sitting up in here. Remember, they're lowering rates, too, at the same time. I think they may have already lowered the rates today. Let's see if we can get a feel for that. Let's go over to Dukascopy's, where is it at? Right there. It's calendar. We'll put that up on the screen. And just take a look. I think they did. I thought they did it like a half hour ago, or they're doing it now. Or you can see there's the Dukascopy calendar for today right there. And let's take a look at the time. There it is. Bank of England Asset Purchase Facility. Rate decision. Yeah, there we go. Actual 475. Forecast 475. Previously it was at 5%. So they did it about an hour ago. Or no, 43 minutes ago. And you can still see, with them lowering their rates, we'll go back to you can see it's still lifting. That's live right there. They're still lifting. You can see it's trying to climb back into the buy. Because in the end result, unfortunately, the media, a great amount of the old media, only reports one side of the story. And that story that we're really talking about is economics, growth. And I know they like to talk about a lot of things. They like to steer clear of reality. But growth is very important. Growth is very, very important. And so, okay, now they just put out 187 Democrat seats in the House and 209 Republican. They're still putting the numbers up. And so they're only 9 away now from the majority, and the Democrats are 187, 13 and 18 to 21. So the Democrats are 21 seats away, and the Republicans are only 9 seats away. So in other words, if they get equal amounts for the next 18 seats, more than likely the Republicans will have it, and the Democrats will still be a minority party. So this is bringing in, as far as we can tell, the new golden age of growth and economic stability and more prosperity and way less wars, because Mr. Trump is a lover. Since Mr. Trump wore a military uniform for 4 years, he was the top cadet at his military academy many, many, many decades back. He decided to be a lover and not a warrior. And he went to business school at Wharton, and he advanced beyond his family business and grew it into a multi-billion-dollar company on $1 million, which is very impressive. $1 million of credit. He wasn't left $1 million. His dad said, "Look, you can use some of my credit, but stay out of Manhattan." And Donald said, "No. I'm going to grow the company on the whole New York City area." And he did, and now he is the top developer in New York. And from $1 million, how many people have $1 million and end up losing it? How many lottery ticket winners win the lottery and end up losing it? You get $100 million or $400 million in a lottery, and the next thing you know, 7 years later, they're bankrupt. So Mr. Trump took that little lottery ticket and turned it into a multi-billion-dollar organization. So we have all the confidence of the last 4 years of Donald Trump was outstanding financially and economically. and the next one is going to be like a golden age of growth. And it should, we always have the old saying here in the United States that when America sneezes, like when you have a cold or a flu, the world catches the flu. And so when America grows and evolves and fights to keep peace in the world, then not through military interaction, but just from good policies, then the world will benefit from it also. And so, we're looking forward to a more peaceful world, make love, not war. And we're looking for growth economically, not, tax, and take away from you. Matter of fact, he's promising to cut taxes on all kinds of things like tips for waitresses and so forth, waiters. When you work overtime at your job, no taxes on the overtime. What is another one? Oh, retirees, everybody who's retired, no taxes on your money. In other words, he's trying to help the population to grow, not starve them. So we're looking for a new golden age of economics, and the American economy is designed for it. The laws are here already, and just have to have the right people in government to do it. So now from there, that's why we're curious. You see the way the cable has jumped up there, and it did it right here, right before the election. And we're expecting, even with interest rates cut, we'll see this thing climbs up and we start to see, the weekly start to turn, and we'll see how they play it out. But I think we're going to see that. All right, now from there, that's right. Let's stay with the currencies, unless someone would like to see something. Let's jump over to, you've seen the euro there. There's the euro. And it's trying to bounce up, and it almost jumped into the buy. See that? It had the green dot and the red dot. Didn't make it in there. It was still in the sell and then slam-a-roo. Now, here is the Swiss, the great inflation fighters. That's another thing we're going to get into the conversation here about what's going on. What's going to go on this afternoon here in the United States. The Federal Reserve is going to speak at 1 o'clock, I think it is? 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock, monetary policy. And they're expecting the Fed to cut its interest rate a 0.25 percentage point. Now, a lot of us believe we don't need it. The economy is stumbling along. There's a ton of cash out there. There's not much of a reason to want to cut a 0.25 percentage point, at least in my head. And responsible people in the financial industry agree with me. Now, the socialists in the financial industry, there's a plenty of them, think the other way. They love free money. They like lower rates. They like unproductive capital. Yes, I'm going to repeat that. Unproductive capital. Yeah, unproductive. They, in other words, as far as they're concerned, take money from everybody and spend it because they don't know any better. That's what it comes down to with the socialists. As far as they're concerned, they need to tax you and me because, here it is. Harris had a $1.6 billion spent, and Trump had $1.1 billion spent. So she outspent him by $500 million. And how about that? Trump didn't spend all his money, it sounds like. Of course he didn't. That's Trump. He's always smart like that. All right. Donations, charitable organizations. Okay. They're trying to figure out how to spend the money that's still there. All right. So from there, where do we go from there? Oh, yes. We're talking about inflation. We're looking at the Swiss, how the Swiss has jumped up. Let's widen it out a little bit more. There we are. I'm not really sure it's going to get all the way up into here. We'll see if they just bounce around with it and start moving back down this way. But I guess we could raise the box a little bit higher, right? Like that. There we are. That's what Mr. Powell's going to be speaking today. Matter of fact, this could be, we have so many directions we could call this webinar. But Mr. Powell's going to have to try to defend himself. He's going to be trying to talk about, like, they're going to be asking him questions about Mr. Trump, and he's going to be telling them we're just following the numbers. They're going to talk about inflation, and he's going to say, right now numbers. We've talked about lowering interest rates. We're going to do it one more time for a quarter, and then maybe we'll sit back and watch for a while. So I think that's going to be the recipe. Let me have a sip of my tea again. So Trump is going to be the topic at Mr. Powell's news conference. So Mr. Powell is going to be doing a lot of dancing. He's probably going to wear tap shoes. He's going to be doing lots of dancing. I would think honestly, I really think honestly that Mr. Powell will try to be a little bit more responsible and not so crazy about future opinions about things. In other words, he got up there and sang that song in November of last year, 12 months ago. We're going to cut 7 times, We're going to cut 7 times. And then when did it finally happen? When the Democrats tried to almost cook him over a fire back in August. And so in September, he cut it a 0.5 percentage point to calm down the Democrats who were in power at the time. And now he's got to answer to that problem. He shouldn't have cut a half. I thought he shouldn't have cut it all as far as I was concerned, but I could understand, since he promised to cut 7 times 10 months earlier, that maybe he should cut once, like a quarter point, but he threw a half at us. And that confused things because we've seen the bond market not respond to it very well at all. So they're not exactly, let's just show you a picture of the bonds today. They're not exactly happy about, the cut to begin with. Not there. Right there. And you can see right there, we can widen it out a little bit more just so you can see it a little bit better. I've been playing with a couple of algos on it just for the fun of it. But you can see right here, it's down here. I mean, remember, when the price of the bond goes down, what happens is that the interest rates are rising. Right? It's a reverse thing. So when the bond was going up in price, interest rates were dropping. And then when he did the 0.5% cut right up in here, the bond went down. In other words, interest rates rose. Well, I thought when you say you cut rates, aren't they supposed to go down and the bond go up? Yes. But the market realizes we're flush. We're up. We can't swallow any more cash than we already have. I mean, there's trillions sitting on the shelf right now that Mr. Biden and Ms. Harris decided to spend that they couldn't even spend. They had so much money they thought they were going to keep power, and they would just, it's like an alligator. They drowned you, then they put you underneath a limb or a rock underneath the water, and then they let you marinate for a while, and you go back and eat it when you're hungry. And so that's pretty much the way the Democrats function. They keep on just taking money from the taxpayers, and every year we pay more taxes than the year before. I mean, just money-wise, not like a higher interest rate, because we're still under Mr. Trump's taxes of 2017. So, his first 2 years in office, he cut taxes dramatically, and that's why the economy is relatively firm. Because if those, and you noticed Mr. Biden, Ms. Harris did not change those taxes. They expire going into 25, in January or February. And so Trump will pass them, and they'll stay that way. So, but they didn't want to change it. They were just going to let them expire and go, oh well, we didn't raise taxes. They just expired. Looks like a big snowstorm hit Colorado. How about that, huh? It's up on the Financial Channel. All right, so there's the bonds. And we're dealing with Mr. Powell. He's going to be singing and dancing at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time here in the United States. And, all the questions are going to be about Trump, not about the economy. And he's not going to have much to be able to say, so it's going to be a very uneventful situation. The only thing that would make it interesting is if he said, we're flush with cash. And those economists who kept on saying, don't cut rates. There's too much cash already, creating inflation, which we don't understand inflation. He has to admit he doesn't understand inflation. We do. He doesn't. Because obviously he thought for almost a year and a half that it was transitory, and it climbed all the way up into the 9% area, almost 10%. And it was like, oh my God. It was like, what the hell's going on here? So, that's going to be fun today. Like I said, we're moving into a new golden age of the economy. And so the world should benefit from it enormously. That's what I'm thinking. All right, from there, let's go on to the next product. Let's go back to the currencies. That is the Swiss. There is, right there, there's the yen. Now, remember, the yen, when it goes up, it's losing against the dollar, and that was the election yesterday. And today it's back and filling just the same way, the euro and the Swiss and the cable and all like that. And you can see it in the weekly buy there and all. You see our math is doing a good job keeping us on the right side. What can we say about that more than, again, they used to be the number one exporter to the United States, and then slowly China became the number one exporter to the United States, and now it's a battle between the both of them. What we're going to see is a much healthier world economy. That's what it comes down to. All right, and then from there, we dance over to the great... Now, we saw what happened to the great experiment yesterday, just because of the way the euro got clocked. Excuse me. And so here is the... there it is, euro Turkish lira. The great experiment. You see it's popping up the same exact way. And it reflects more of the euro than it does reflect of the Turkish lira. But either way, we're always happy to see it go down. Because when it goes down, it's less inflation. When it goes up, it's more inflation. And so we're always hoping that it goes down because it's a very harsh tax on the population. The rich, they survive it. The ruling politicos who get money from leading the country, survive it. But the individuals, the different families around the country, just regular people and so forth are, just getting crushed by the inflation. When you go into a store and you're paying 2 Turkish lira for a loaf of bread, or 1 Turkish lira for a loaf of bread, and now here 10 years later, or 8 years later, I guess it is, it's like you're paying, 37 Turkish lira for a loaf of bread. That is tough. I mean, wouldn't you rather just hand them 2? I know I would. Not 37 of them. It means that you can't spend that other 35 of them on other things. All right, from there we go down to South Africa. Down, down, down. Oh, good, look at that. So it's gaining against the dollar this morning. It's adjusting. Now, normally we relate to the South African rand by looking at the metals complex. And so we go over to gold. And there is gold right there. And you can see gold is bouncing a little bit up, but, as we mentioned in one of our webinars just recently in the last couple of weeks, we keep on expecting to see the metals feel pressure of Mr. Trump in office because it's a gold and silver and so forth are places to run to. They're like a cryptocurrency. When things are bad, you run to these things. When things are good, you kind of lighten up on them and keep just a small amount to the side just to protect yourself. But overall, you can start to invest in other things because they're going to grow compared to what gold has done, and you can see it started anticipating, as we said, and I think we named the webinar about it, how metals should start to back off because Mr. Trump is going to win. I've been saying that for a couple of weeks, and matter of fact, can I even put it up on the chat line? I don't know if I can or can't. If I put a video up on the chat line of me saying that on my radio show. I do a radio show every third Saturday of the month, and I talk about politics and economics and everything about Constitution and so forth. And so basically I've been saying that Mr. Trump was going to win the popular vote. Mr. Trump, I said it here on this webinar too. Mr. Trump is going to win the White House. They're going to win the House and the Senate. And here it is, the full sweep. So from there, we march our way over to silver. And there's silver, looking the same pretty much way. So the South African rand now is gaining against the dollar, but the metals are not. So they're probably going to have to find that comfort spot, that base. The resistance and support area. And we'll see how that plays itself out. Copper, they really slammed copper, but now they're starting to come back and realize, okay, let's not get too freaky. And so you can see how copper is trying to bounce back up. It's just a matter of time. China is going to be an economic partner to the world like usual, but they're going to have to be more responsible. That's all. They're just not. Let's put it this way: they've been sucking off the world's breast, the tit, like a baby to a mother. But they're going to have to grow and learn to live off the tit. They're going to have to learn how to feed themselves as time goes on. So it's just a matter of time. Now that Mr. Trump is back in there, it's going to be, law and order again, not criminal, or not, let's put it this way, not illegal actions or, all kinds of, strange things going on. So, all right. From there, we'll take a look at platinum, and we'll start, I'm looking for the platinum spread to start to lift with Mr. Trump in there. We'll see. I don't think it happens overnight. I think it takes time. It's just, let's see, where's platinum? There's platinum in January, right there. And you can see it's not lifting as much as the other, maybe because it didn't get sold down as aggressively. Now today, it's still in the buy. It went into the buy here, took a slam down, but held on because of the green and the red dot. Okay? And here today, it's trying to lift up. And you can see here's the weekly. We're still in that weekly sell. So, of course, you couldn't be long. You can only be neutral at this point. And if we get into if the weekly turns into a buy, it might be interesting to see where we end up with like weeks of buys in the platinum and weeks of sell in the gold. Wouldn't surprise me any there. So, all right. From there, we'll jump over to the energy sector. Let's go see what Brent is doing this morning. Remember, the mantra of the Alaskan governor, what was her name? Sarah Palin. Drill baby drill, when she was the vice presidential candidate for what was the name? I forget what the clown was. The senator from Arizona. But she was the one that came up with the expression drill baby drill. So let's show you what Brent is doing right now. Drill baby drill. Let's see, where is Brent? BZ. Where are you, BZ? Why doesn't it jump out on me? There it is, right there. There's Brent. Let's put it up on the screen for you. A little selling going on there today. I understand, the wars all of a sudden are all starting to think, okay, maybe we don't do war anymore since Mr. Trump is more of a lover than a warrior. He's a business warrior. He likes business. To him, business is the war. Trying to sell your product, trying to build your product, trying to deliver it on time. Trump has a habit of delivering things early. He's very successful at that. He does projects that people can't get complete, things like that. Look at that. Now, this is trying to climb into the weekly buy right there. And at the same time, we got the green line through there. So it's probably going to stay there. But wouldn't surprise me if we roll over, if we see this thing move back down and take out these lows. And you can see here the fast is saying, not so fast. We're thinking secondly. Now, of course, this is good. Yeah, every so often you get this type of situation, where the markets have to try to readjust to what's going on. And so that's really the answer to it all at this point. Okay, so let's go find. Funny. There's a commercial on CNBC. I guess, what is that? Houston? Must be a Houston football player. Oh, he must be deaf, too. Huh. Far out. It's a Dick's commercial. I don't follow everything, but I guess there must be a big player for the Houston Oilers. Or what are they? Houston Texans or whatever it is. And it's a TV commercial. I think he's deaf. He can't hear, so. All right, anyway. He goes into a store when it's closed. He goes and plays with all the sports equipment. How cute. All right, so there's that. And at the same time, you can see it's going into the daily sell there. So we're getting into that neutral situation. Now let's go check out the West Texas Intermediate, the American oil, versus North Sea. They both trade identical, except for the North Sea is always more expensive because of the transportation costs, and the platforms and all that stuff. All right, and here is December Texas oil. Let's do the same thing. See that exploding up, and at the same time pushing into the sell there and pushing into the sell right there. Let's just make that bigger so you can see it. There we are. And then from there, we march over to, we look at one of the refined products that come from oil. That is the kerosene / heating oil / diesel. It's all pretty much the same product, and it powers the airplanes in the sky. It powers the trucks on the roads, all the diesel engine trucks, and at the same time, it also powers what we call heating oil heaters in homes around here in the United States. And you can see here it's moving down. The algorithm is minus, and it's doing the same identical thing, just like crude oil is doing. From there, we slide over to natural gas. And that is going to be our, as we say in the United States, our bread and butter, basics, You take a piece of bread, you put butter on it, you got something to eat, something simple. You don't have to think too hard to cook it. Now, from there, we go and look at natural gas. And natural gas is right there. And you can see natural gas. Now it's popping up. I thought I saw it moving down earlier today, but I guess it's making a little pop up. Got a couple red dots. It was in the buy, and it's trying to do that same thing, climb into the buy after weeks in the sell. 4 weeks in the sell. So we'll see how today's Thursday, right? So I would expect to start seeing some of the weakness kicking in next week. Just because of the weekly buy number and prices and. The markets may have not all anticipated the great success Mr. Trump was going to have, so it's possible that we'll have to digest and have a little whipsawing going on. That's what they call that in the trading floors and the markets in general, whipsaw. All right, and then from there we'll go take a look at the energy company down in Spain, which they've been anticipating it very well, which is amazing. The math is showing us that they know better. They've been knowing better for months. because I think it's like 5 weeks in a weekly sell, 6 weeks, something like that. Yeah, 6 weeks in a weekly sell. So they knew up in the what is that? Like the 1375 to 14 area, and now you can see today it's trading in the 1260 area. You can see a bunch of days in a sell with that weekly sell, and you can see a lot of weekly sell going on. Let's move this over. Cool. And so, interesting. They elected a senator from Colombia. I mean, his family was from Colombia. He's born in America, and or maybe he was born in Colombia as a kid, and they moved here. So, Latino vote is now becoming a strong decision-making community, and they're moving towards capitalism and free markets, free people, and law and order, which is really nice. So, very spiritual people. All right, from there, what's that? That's a Spanish company. Let's take a look at, let me do this too. Let's take a look at, there you go, it's a good view of it. Let's go take a look at ExxonMobil in the United States. And you can see they're buying it just because of they think that they'll be able to, manufacture more, dig and produce and so forth. But, we saw when Mr. Trump was in there, the stocks did okay in the energy sector. But remember, oil was much lower in price. And when it's lower in price, people pay less. That's how it works. So they make a little less profit. But they still are profitable. That does it with the energies. If anybody has an opinion, let me just say hi. Ooh, let's try that again. Where's that mouse at? What did I do? I knocked myself out? I think I knocked myself out. Let's see if I can get back up there again. There we go. There we go. So let me just say hi. Any questions? There we go. Ant questions. Any. A-N-Y. Any. There we go. Not ant. But I can answer some ant questions too. What else we got brewing here? Let's jump over to global markets. See what they're doing in the global market scene. Take a look at Tokyo this morning. Right there. You see that upwardly bias? A lot of red dots though. You can see it's in a weekly sell trying to climb into the weekly buy. You can see that there was strength here. Let's move this over. There it is right there. And you see it's trying to climb into a weekly buy. Hey, look, America is going to be growing strong and beautiful and low inflation. So more than likely, the world is going to, we're the engine to the world. If you would look at the world like a train, and you have a engine that pulls the train, or possibly even pushes it at times, both, depending on the terrain, I guess. We are the engine of the world economy. And so now we're going to be run by good engineers and, successful conductors and going great mechanics. You know, we're going to be running really well. So it's going to be a good time again, just like it was 4 years back with Mr. Trump. Okay. So now, from there, let's go take a look at China. There it is. There we are. And you can see here, this is, you know, China trying to lift. Looking good, actually. They're probably figuring, hey, we're going to make more money. America's going to have more money in its pocket. No, you know, in other words, we've been, you know, I guess you could say we've been rubbing softly against recession constantly. Very unproductive, high inflation, you know, the whole thing. And so, you know, it's going to be a new change, I guess you could say, in many ways. A new change, exactly. So that's where we stand at the moment. Let's put. From there, let's go over to. You see, the world is responding to Mr. Trump's success. Let's take a look at South Korea. Right there, there's the Kospi. Seems to bottom, but still showing some weakness in weekly sells there. You can see that for the last 4 weeks. Like so, right there. And at the same time, you can see the daily is trying to push into the sell today. Right there. We'll see how that goes, but overall it looks very stable up in here. As a matter of fact, that right around in here looks like the resistance, the support line. We'll see. I think it is. It could be a support line where they start to turn back up again. Now from there, we go and take a look at Taiwan, the chip kingdom, who seems to be doing just fine. They had a good election, and they got some really interesting players. Look at the strength in there. It kind of reminds me of the Tel Aviv exchange. You know, we talk about that. I call it Rocket's Red Glare, how it's just climbing and climbing and climbing. And you can see it's in a weekly sell for a couple weeks there. And you can see the daily has been a buy for a couple days now. Like, you know, that's like 5 days in a daily buy. So you're not short, even within the weekly sell. You're in a neutral position at the moment. So in other words, if you were short and made all that money, it told you right there, take the profit. And let's show you Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv looks, you know, has that both of them. Taiwan is threatened constantly by the Chinese government, and they're constantly firing rockets at Israel. So, you know, it's like a never-ending crazy going on right there. And this is their exchange in Tel Aviv. And look at it. It's got a lot of strength. They took a little profit there on the news. But notice it's been minus for about 4 days here now. But it's in a weekly buy, so you can't be short. So that's all right. No problems there. When you follow the math correctly, you can see for like the last 5 weeks, almost 6 weeks now, it's been in a buy. And every time you go into a buy, it's been a winner, winner, chicken dinner. Winner, winner. You see, we got to move that over so you can see it exactly. Like that. And you see it right there. When it goes into buy, it's a win. Goes into the buy right here, it's a win. You know, same thing. Somewhere's around in here. What's the date there? The date there is the September 23rd. See what that is. Let's give it a refresh. September 23rd. And we'll reset it. And pretty much I'm sure it shows the same thing again in the buy situation. That's why you have, as an individual, if you want to try to be able to use this platform for free for a couple weeks, just contact Robinero right there. That's who we are. We're Chicago Quant Technologies, and Dukascopy helps us do our webinar and allows us to, you know, basically have free speech on this platform. It's wonderful. So you can see right there. Let's see, September 23rd. Where's September 23rd? There's September 23rd right there. There's September 23rd. Where is it on the algorithm? Right there. So I guess we got to move it over a little bit more. Something like that. Right there is September 23rd. Going into the plus, you can see the strength for a couple of days, and you can see the movement up, and it's in a weekly buy. So that's how we know the general trend all the time. All right, where we stand now from there, let's take a look at, let's see, let's jump. We be jumping. Let's go tech. We're going to always keep an eye on the Nifty 50, just like we look at the South African Rand. So let's get the Nifty 50 up on the screen. Keeping an eye on that. That's one of the top BRICS in the world, and maybe they're going to teach good capitalism to, or teach capitalism to the BRIC nations. See that in many ways, India is that Division 2 team that is heading towards the Premier League, or no, the Championship League. And then from there, it could go on to be the Premier League. So let's go find Nifty 50. Where are you, Nifty? There it is. I see it. Matter of fact, I should rename that thing so we can see it where it says Nifty 50. Might work on that. So there is the Nifty 50 trying to lift up. Matter of fact, yesterday lifted up with no problem. Taking a little profit here today. You see the strength in there, though. Still in the buy. And they're just waiting for the weekly to turn. Remember, there's a lot of weight on being in the BRICS and being a very productive economy. They have the same population size as China. They are, they speak English and Hindi. And so, they're part of the Commonwealth. They have good laws. They're trying to make them better. There's a lot of positive. That's why I say this is one of those teams, basically, that will go and move up the ladder. And maybe they can pull the BRICS with them. Make the BRICS better countries economically, too. All right. And then from there, we were jumping around a little bit, but let's take a look at Saudi Arabia today and see how the oil is doing there. We've seen how the crude oil itself is going basically sideways today after popping a little bit. Now let's see where Ramco is. There it is right there. There's the Ramco. Look at the strength in that. They're seeing make love, not war. That's what they see. Ramco saying, hot damn. A world economy that's growing? We'll take that. We're a large oil producer. And the world needs energy. So, yeah, baby, drill, baby, drill. All right. From there, we zip over to, let's jump to the European continent. And we'll take a look at, we'll go right to Italy. Where's that FTSE MIB? There it is. And they sold off on the election. Looks like they're flat now. And they're playing with that wild sell. And we'll see how long that lasts before it tries to roll up. From there, we will jump over to the DAX. I read some really tough stuff. Did the government collapse again over there? I think the DAX? I mean, the German government collapse? I think so. Let's put that up on the other screen, too, at the same time. Where did I see it? There's the DAX. You can see the DAX is lifting back up after the little sell-off. It's in the second week in a weekly sell. You can see that. Also, at the same time, let me see if I can find that. It sounds like the government is having issues. Let's see. FOMC, drug shortages, sore loser Democrats viciously turn on stupid and selfish Biden. Wow, that's a vicious thing. After Trump win, JFK's entire departments at the FDA have to go. Okay, majority of where's it at? I saw it and I was like, wow, what's that all about? How America became unburdened by what has been. Cool. Where is it at? It's an interesting story. I saw it. I should have kept it up there. Hezbollah still wants to fire its rockets. They still want to just kill people, wacko people. They are crazy people with the rocket thing. There it is. German government collapses as mass strikes grind economy to a halt. Wow. So, capitalism is good. Free markets are good. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't do my title. Let me put my title in today, too. Free markets, free people. It's good. Less taxes. Less government. That's what it's all about. So, what are we going to call today? Let's go and take a look and see. Go like that. Oop. Nope, not that one again. There we go. There we go. So today, the title will be, that's a good question what it should be about. Title. There we are. And pretty much, it will be a really interesting push and shove for Mr. Powell, that's for sure. A new golden age in America. I like that. Of U.S. There it is. There's the title. New Golden Age of USA. Put your seatbelts on, traders, because we're going to go flying forward and successful. All right. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Later, traders. Have a safe and smart trading day.